so make sure to head indoors. I'll tell you more about what you can expect in just a few. Local 33 News at 10 starts right now.
Well, tonight, how Louisiana leaders are paying their respect to late civil rights icon John Lewis.
And how the Capital Area United Way is helping some single moms during the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, good evening. I'm Crystal Whitman.
I'm Harrison Gold, and welcome in for this 10 p.m. edition of NBC Local 33 News. And we do start tonight with reactions across the country mourning the loss of a civil rights icon and U.S. Representative John Lewis.
Well, community members in Baton Rouge join along as the nation mourns the death and celebrates his life. Louisiana's NAACP President Michael McClanahan is reflecting on the late civil rights icon, Representative John Lewis's visit to Baton Rouge.
But when John Lewis's name came up, you could hear the rallies, you hear the, whoa, you hear the energy that name pushed in the room. And I remember a couple years ago, he came to Baton Rouge, and the energy, the excitement that was around this town because a John Lewis was coming to the town was like none other. It was like no football game. It was like nothing but, hey, this icon that has blazed trails for us is coming to Baton Rouge. We were so excited.
Baton Rouge City Councilwoman Shauna Banks says she met Lewis in Washington, D.C. and sends her prayers to the Lewis family.
My heart goes out to the family, to the entire congressional delegation, and just all that loved and benefited from his public service, his family life, his church service, and he will be forever missed.
Tonight, Governor Bel Edwards released this statement on John Lewis, reading in part, quote, "He will be long remembered by the people of Louisiana and across the world." Please join Donna and me in praying for Congressman Lewis, his family, and all who have been touched by his tremendous fight for justice and equality for all humanity. Governor Edwards also issued an executive order for flags across Louisiana to be flown at half-staff.
U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond heads up the Congressional Black Caucus, and he has this statement on the passing of John Lewis, which reads in part, quote, "As we say goodbye to a deeply beloved and respected friend and colleague, let me extend my deepest condolences, gratitude, love, and strength to his family, friends, staff, and all those whose lives he touched. May his soul rest in peaceful paradise. May his legacy live forever." Well, people not just here in Louisiana, but all across the country are paying their respects to John Lewis. And tonight, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling Congressman Lewis one of the greatest American heroes in our nation's history. NBC's Jeff Bennett tonight with the outpouring of touching tributes.
Tonight, tributes and remembrances for the civil rights icon and longtime Congressman John Lewis. Former President Barack Obama saying that Lewis loved this country so much that he risked his life and his blood so that it might live up to its promise. Lewis and Obama shared a deep admiration for one another. Last month, the two offering inspiration to young activists leading the latest demonstrations for equality and justice.
That's why when I see these young people out here right now, I am inspired.
They're going to help redeem the soul of America and save our country.
Former President George W. Bush saying tonight that America can best honor John's memory by continuing his journey toward liberty and justice for all. Bill Clinton calling Lewis the conscience of the nation. And from Jimmy Carter, all Americans owe John Lewis a debt of gratitude. President Trump, who had a bitter relationship with Lewis, saying he was saddened to hear of his passing, as Congressman James Clyburn remembered his colleague and friend of nearly 60 years.
I do believe that as the sun set on John Lewis's life last night, the sun rises on a movement that will never die.
The civil rights movement losing two towering figures on the same day. Early Friday morning, the Reverend C.T. Vivian died at age 95. Vivian, one of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s closest advisors.
C.T. Vivian, John Lewis, back to back to back. That's a painful sliver of the forest, but boy, did they leave their mark on time.
Today in Atlanta, the city that Lewis loved and represented in Congress, a makeshift memorial at the foot of his mural.
I think that he stood for so much, and he's going to really be missed in the Atlanta community.
Now, switching gears, the Louisiana Department of Health today announced it will not update the state's COVID-19 numbers on Saturdays.
Those numbers will be coming tomorrow, but that said, Louisiana does have some trends worth talking about tonight. Let's take a look at them here. And over the past week, Louisiana has seen nearly 14,000 COVID-19 cases and almost 130 more deaths again within this past week.
Now, the numbers of people hospitalized and on ventilators have also risen. Over the past 7 days, the state has seen close to 300 more people hospitalized with COVID-19 complications and just under 40 more people on ventilators. Well, amid some tough times for working families, one group is offering help for single moms. NBC Local 33's Kara St. Cyr explains how the capital area United Way is pitching in.
For some, access to food is already a challenge in itself. But in times like these, finding the resources you need can be even harder to come by.
Food is very hard for them. They're not working, so they don't have access to food. Many of them live in food deserts where they can't easily go to a grocery store.
By them, Charlene Montalero means single mothers. To women already struggling to feed their families, this pandemic is making access much worse. That's why she decided to volunteer with United Way's Women United to lend a hand to mothers in need.
We know that we need to step up and help each other. That's what this is all about, helping each other. Because when we help each other and when we help someone in need, our whole community is uplifted.
The group is sending single moms home with boxes of fresh produce, a grocery store gift card valued at $75, and restaurant gift cards. They even have extra perks like gas money and free hand sanitizer. LSU gymnastics coach Dee Dee Bro stopped by to this event because she says she knows how hard it is to provide for a family.
There's so much excitement and so much gratitude and a lot of God blesses and a lot of thank yous, and that's why Nikki and I are out here, just to give back to the community, back to our city that has given us so much.
All the food and gift cards were provided via donation from volunteers like Montalero. In 6 weeks of putting this together, the CEO of Capital United Way says the organization provided care packages for 311 single mothers. Kara St. Cyr, NBC Local 33 News.
And the CEO of the organization says the community can look forward to some upcoming events. Later in sports, Saints quarterback Drew Brees is set to enter his 20th season in the NFL. We'll take a look at his legacy and your Go Nation sports.
And how one South Louisiana clergy member is keeping those faces covered and protected amid this pandemic. That's when NBC Local 33 News at 10 o'clock comes right back. Well, today, another nonprofit group here in the capital city helped give out food to those who need it most in these trying times. This morning, the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank held a food drive at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center over in Gonzales. Volunteers with the food bank and Army service members helped distribute frozen food, refrigerated meals, and milk to families in need during this pandemic.
It makes every one of us proud because we're here for our community. We're here to help. We do what we can to give this food out to the ones in need.
Now, the man you just heard there is Sergeant First Class Reuben Mullins from the U.S. Army. He says they helped around 1,500 families at today's event.
Well, also today, a local reverend has switched gears to help those impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. Many people lined up for free mass this morning at Bel Air High School. Reverend Reginald Pitcher, along with several volunteers, handed out mass to those who needed one. Reverend Pitcher says that it's more important now than ever before for people to wear a mask.
The statistics show every day somebody's infected, every day somebody is dying. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that there's a correlation between not wearing a mask and getting affected as opposed to wearing a mask and possibility of not getting infected. So that's my message, man. Wear the mask.
Reverend Pitcher also tells us he plans to keep doing these mask giveaways every weekend until further notice. Now, it looked very nice out there today. Let's get a check of your forecast with our meteorologist, Jasmine Lomax. Hey, Jasmine.
Hey, Crystal. Well, it was a nice and quiet day. However, we did deal with some heat and humidity. We are not dealing with the heat overnight. We'll be average with lows around 75, but we are still dealing with a little bit of humidity.